Hey y'all, Robbie Falk here from Maroon and White Daily at On 3, wrapping up a busy week of Mississippi State sports. Baseball's in full gear. Basketball is kind of winding down the regular season. Big time games happening for the men and the women. Softball is ramping up too. There's been some good, there's been some not so good, but mostly good for Mississippi State sports right now. Everybody's in a pretty good spot. When you look at it across the board, but there needs to be some finishing for the men's and women's basketball teams, and the baseball team has some things to clean up as well, and we'll get into all of that as we try to zoom through this thing here on our recap of the week. I guess we'll call this a Talkin Dawgs because we're not really reacting to one single game. We're going to kind of cover a lot of stuff here for you guys as we wrap up what's been a super busy week. During crossover season, this is crossover season, we are ramping up our coverage over at Maroon and White Daily. I'm kind of a solo man right now on the site, but that hasn't stopped our work. I want you guys to remember Paul Jones, who is our recruiting writer and does a lot of our team stuff as well. He is in the hospital dealing with some things. Talked to him today, seems to be doing a lot better, but would really appreciate you guys praying for him and thinking about him as he tries to work through some health issues, and we hope we get him back to 100% and back on the mend because he's so important and vital to our website and for all of our members over there at Maroon and White Daily. And if you're not a member of Maroon and White Daily, come check us out. We would love to have you. Paul is the best of the best on the Mississippi State recruiting coverage beat, and he's going to be back ramping it up here soon. So we would love to come have you check us out. If you sign up today, we will get you a membership for $1 per week for the entire year. That's $52 for the whole year. Great deal that we got going on right now. We'd love to have you over there. The best community of Mississippi State message board posters out there, and we have some great coverage for you as well. So $52 for the whole year, that's $1 per week. You cannot beat that. Sign up today, and you'll have some great Mississippi State coverage coming your way. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. Just finished women's basketball here at Mississippi State. The women able to get an 81-55 win over Texas A&M. Big win for Mississippi State to kind of continue their path of getting in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be very difficult for them to have the same amount of SEC wins that they had last year. They were 8-8 last year. They'll have to beat number 1 Texas on Thursday, which is going to be a tough task, and then go beat Auburn to do that. Not an impossible task, but it'd be very tough. But I think the resume this year and the way that Mississippi State's playing here at the end of the year is better than it was last year. They could finish with 7 wins, and I think they could still get in the tournament. I think winning one of these next two certainly would go a long way. 6 wins in the SEC play, that might be stretching a little bit. You probably have to do some work in the SEC tournament to feel good about it. But if you do get a win next Sunday at Auburn, I think State gets in. I would be a little surprised if they don't. I think the way that they've closed out the season, much better than it was last year. The metrics last year said that State should have been in the tournament, but just the way that they had finished the year, I think they lost 7 out of 8 games or whatever it was. The way they finished just was not very strong, and I think that went into the decision by the committee to leave them out. This year they have a net in the top 35. It's a team that's hovering around a quad 1 opponent, home or away. When you look at Mississippi State, they have a couple of really good wins. Vanderbilt, Utah is a great win for them, the neutral site win that they had. Oklahoma at home certainly is a big win. And not a whole lot of bad losses for them. So I think that this was big for them. They need to get one more. One more should put them in a good position. But today was really good. You had 19 points from Debrisha Post. You had 3 3-pointers in the third quarter when State outscored Texas A&M 27-11. That was really the difference for the Bulldogs. 7 turnovers, the fewest turnovers this team has had all season long. First time this year they've been in single digits. That's big for this team. If they don't turn the ball over, this is a team that at times looks like a top 25 squad. I really do believe this is a top 25 team if they're not turning the ball over, but turnovers has been a big part of it this year for them. They had 26 last week against Florida, and that was the difference. I mean, if you have 24, you probably win that ball game against Florida. That's still a bad day, but you probably win that game. So when this team doesn't turn the ball over, they're a really good team, and they won this one very easily, very comfortably. You had 16 points and 12 rebounds from Adina Okot. It was her 10th double-double of the year. 13 points for Jerkayla Jordan and Anaya Russell on senior night. Jerk had 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals in the game. Anaya Russell had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, so both of them played really well in this game for the most part. And the Bulldogs really kind of did a lot of work on the boards, 38-32 rebounding advantage. They had 18 second chance points on 17 offensive boards, 42-26 in the paint. It was just a really good day for the Bulldogs. Inside, shot 85% from the line, 11-13. So just a really good win for State. They moved to 19-9 on the season and 6-8 in SEC play. Sam Purcell with one more win will have 3 straight 20-win seasons. It's never been done at Mississippi State to start a career. And I believe would maybe be the only the second time they've done it 3 years in a row. I'd have to research that. On the other side of it, the men's team is trying to have 3 straight 20-win seasons as well. That's been done 3 times before. Chris Jans has a chance to do that this week and missed that opportunity on Saturday as State went to Oklahoma and the Bulldogs fall 93-87. It was a really rough second half. You give up 59 points in the second half. Oklahoma shoots 53% for the game. The second half was just absolutely ridiculous from the Sooners. They shot 68% from the field on 17-25, 7 of 13 from three-point range. And this is the 11th time this season that a team has made 10 or more threes against Mississippi State. The Bulldogs, or actually it was the 10th time, the Bulldogs are 2-8 in those ball games. Every loss this year has come against a team that shot 10 or more, made 10 or more three-pointers. Now, when you hold them under 10, Mississippi State's 16-0. So that, or 17-0 now. State has got to do that against teams moving forward. I mean, it's been the difference in winning and losing for the most part for them. And this was a rough pill to swallow. Oklahoma had lost, I think, 5 straight games, not playing good basketball, and they got hot in this one. Fears for them was just unconscious in this game, 11-14 from the line, 10 assists, 27 points, 7-12 shooting, in 37 minutes, just killed Mississippi State at the guard position. You had 2 other guys in double digits with 18 and 17. Godwin, 17 points, Sam Godwin, 17 points and 10 rebounds. State had an 11-point advantage on the boards and 20 offensive rebounds and 21 second chance points. The difference was, giving up 59 points in the second quarter. You just could not get stops, or in the second half. Josh Hubbard had 19 points and 5 assists. You got what you wanted offensively. You score 87 points in this game. There's not a whole lot to be upset about on offense. You did have 13 turnovers. You shot 40%, but 87 points wins you most games. And for State in this one, it was defense. And that's been the issue for Mississippi State in most of their losses this year, is defending the three-point line. And they just didn't do it in this game. And this is a tough one to swallow because you just picked up back-to-back top 20 wins. You knocked off Ole Miss on the road. You beat Texas A&M. Your metrics are starting to really climb. You got into the top 25 in the net. And really kind of had been on the verge of the 5 seed for the NCAA tournament. And that's still, this is a quad 1 loss. I want people to understand this is not a bad loss from a metric standpoint. You win this ball game and you've got a quad 1 win, and State just wasn't able to pick it off. But the problem is you got to go to Alabama on Tuesday, and you don't feel great about that game. That gets you to back-to-back losses as you go into the final 3-game set here, and that makes for some must-win ball games for the Bulldogs. Now, they're in really good shape for the NCAA tournament. I honestly think that they could lose the rest of their games and still be in solid shape here. Now, they would probably play themselves on the bubble, and that's definitely you don't want to do that. But they're not in any form or fashion, in danger of missing the tournament. I think the women are flirting with it a little bit, but I think they're still in good shape. The men are safely in right now, 7-7 in the conference. One of the nation's leaders in the top 10 in quad 1 wins. But they just let another one slip by. I mean, really right now when you look at it, they have one bad loss on the resume against Butler, and everything else, all their losses are quad one. And this just would have been another opportunity to continue to build that resume and also get you in good position for the SEC tournament, from a matchup standpoint there as well. So you go to Alabama on Tuesday, 8 p.m. tip. That's going to be a tough one against a Bama team that has really controlled this series in recent years. And then you follow that up with the LSU team that's playing better basketball. They come in Saturday at 2:30 at the Hump. And then you close out the regular season the next Tuesday against Texas before going to Arkansas to take on a Razorback team that's playing completely different basketball here down the stretch. So really big games coming up for Mississippi State, and we'll see if they're able to handle it. Both teams have an opportunity to get 20 wins on the year coming up this week, and we'll see if they're able to do it. Flipping over to baseball here, Mississippi State, they lost on Tuesday, as you know, to Southern Miss in a 3-0 ball game, a game that I thought was pitched extremely well from State, but did not hit the baseball. Had 4 hits in the game, didn't get hit till the 6th inning, and just could not score. And, we saw that a couple of times this weekend, but State beat a team in Missouri State that I think is going to contend for a regional this year. And by the end of the year should be a really good hitting team. I thought State pitched it pretty well in all 3 games. They had a no-hitter going into the 9th inning today and gave up a 3-run home run. The first hit of the game was a 3-run home run to cut the lead to 6-4. Chase Hungate came out of the bullpen and closed things down, and they were able to win that and sweep the series. So 12 hits today, 6 runs, pretty good offensive day. I think they had 4 home runs in the ballgame. Hunter Hines, Ace Reese, Garrett Fry, and Aaron Downs all had home runs in this ballgame today, and State was able to get the series to move to 6-1 on the season. And my biggest takeaway from State right now is they're imperfect, but these are games that they probably lose the last 3 years. Missouri State is not a world beater by any means, but it's a really good program that's been really, really good in the past 10 years, and I think has a lineup that could do some damage when it warms up and we get into their conference. I think State has shown some really good things on the mound. Last 2 days they've been really uncharacteristic with the free bases, but it's been a team that's been kind of difficult to hit. They've really shown a lot of promise there when it comes to pitching. I think the pitching staff, when it rounds into form and they start to fall into roles, it has a chance to be really good. So you got to kind of figure some things out there. And then offensively, they're scuffling a little bit. They had a much better weekend than what we saw on Tuesday against Southern Miss, and they were able to get 3 wins. And that, at the end of the day, that's what matters. You got to sweep. You're now 6-0 at home. You're 6-1 to start the season for the first time since 2019, and that was big. That was a big weekend to get for the Bulldogs. So they're imperfect, like I said, but baseball is an imperfect game. It's a game where you hit 300, you get hits in 30% of your at-bats, and you feel pretty good about yourself. It's a game of failure, and State has had some failure in the first few games, especially offensively, but they only have 1 loss to show for it, and that's a good place to be. This is what we talked about preseason about this team. They need to find ways to win these non-conference games so you feel really good about yourself going into postseason play and hopefully hosting a regional. This is a good start for them, but there's some tough games ahead. You got on Tuesday, you're having a top 25 matchup against Troy. I would be floored if they dropped out of the top 25 this week. They dropped a midweek game to Auburn and then swept their weekend opponent at Northwestern State. So they're 6-1 as well. They came in the week 23rd in the country. I don't think they've done anything to drop out of it. This is going to be a really good test for Mississippi State. I think Southern Miss, too, was a good test for the Bulldogs, and they didn't pass it. This one they need to win. These are the games that, preseason we talked about they need to win. And, it's not games – Southern Miss and Troy don't really kill your resume or hurt you because they're going to be ranked or in really good position most of the year. but it just strengthens your resume, and that's what state really needs, I think, as they continue to build. And this weekend, you got a tournament a round robin tournament in Houston, Texas, where state's taking on Rice, Arizona, and Oklahoma State, and that'll be a good test for them, I think, playing three teams that, they have some history, they have some tradition at those three schools, and Mississippi State needs to come away feeling good about itself in that too. So big week ahead for the Diamond Dogs as they get ready to play the best competition they've played so far this year. But we're certainly seeing a much more impressive non-conference schedule than we have the last few years for the Bulldogs, and now they need to start continuing to mount some wins before you get into SEC play, and we'll see what happens from there. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. We're going to go record Thunder and Lightning. I'll go meet up with Brian Haydad, and we get that recorded for you as well. But appreciate y'all for subscribing to this channel, and if you haven't already, please go ahead and do that. Subscribe to us over at Maroon and White Daily. Once again, $1 a week for the rest of the year. You'll get a full year subscription, and if you sign up today, that'll run you through 2026 for $52. $1 per week for a year. You can't beat that. And I promise you, once you get on that message board, you start getting ingrained in that community, and you start to learn the people there and make that a daily part of your life, you're not going to want to give it up. So come check us out. We'd love to have you over there. You have access to us all the time. If you have any questions or any thoughts, we're right there, and we have a great community of people that are incredibly knowledgeable too. So please come check us out. We'd love to have you. Thank you for your support. All right, guys, have a great week coming up, and we'll catch you down the road.